So I would like to ask you the narrative about how you did your master's and PhD in the ocean engineering department.
In fact, my master's was not in ocean engineering; it was in engineering mechanics.
Okay.
It's a long story. To cut it short, see, basically, I'm a physicist, master's in physics, and for master's degree holders in physics, it's almost the end of the road for further studies in IIT Madras at that time.
Okay.
But the Senate came up with a resolution that Master of Science people with Master of Science can register for MS in engineering related subjects. For example, physics, people can do it in electronics. Like that, there were some departments allowed Master of Physics to join MS in allied subjects in. So for me, I was working in civil engineering, and civil engineering department outright rejected that a physics person cannot do any civil engineering. Yeah, I mean it was a fact because at that time many people thought civil engineering means it's only cement, concrete, reinforcement, sand, and things like that. Now there is nothing else other than some of this basic stuff. But then I was hunting around and then looking at the various possibilities and came to engineering mechanics. And some of the process were extremely friendly. I don't know, that is because of some of the projects that I have done along with them, or also in civil engineering because there are a lot of overlapping areas of interest to both the departments. I met Professor Alvar at that time, the senior most professor in engineering mechanics. He was quite friendly right from the beginning. And he said that you can always find a topic wherein you can do your research for MS. Then I met Professor V. Ramurthy, vibrations. Then Venkat Rao, who was also a friend of mine, who later went to BHEL R&D. I think we discussed various aspects of finding a topic in which is of interest to engineering mechanics. At the same time, my connections with civil engineering will not be cut. So I took two topics. One is development of an instrument for strain measurement, which was later patented, and a novel method for counting the number of fringes in photoelasticity. For those who are familiar with photoelastic stress analysis will know the importance of counting the number of fringes. These two topics were taken, and then the work went on. The guides were Professor T.P. Ganeshan from civil engineering and Dr. Venkat Rao from applied mechanics. I think most of the work was practically independently done by me with a lot of help from the seniors, especially Professor Alvar and Professor Venkat Rao, Professor T.P. Ganeshan. And to cut the story short, I had an MS thesis with these two topics. and the electromechanical strain gauge which was developed was by me was patented, and then the counting of the number of fringes in photoelastic experiments resulted in a publication in Journal of Physics, which was supposed to be one of the topmost journals. So that was my MS. Once you have an MS, the door is wide open. For PhD, you can go to any department. I mean, depending on whether the department can accept me. By then, the people also, the mindset of the people also has changed, that there are topics, interdisciplinary projects, which can be taken, which will be useful for both physics, both the civil engineering, that is my parent department, and also wherever I am allowed to register for PhD. So I applied in ocean engineering. This time, the support from the faculty was very good. Practically everyone supported me, and then I presented a topic which is titled Integrity Monitoring of Offshore Platforms, which was of interest even to ONGC, because later on ONGC also gave me a project at that time about 5 point few lakhs. And that was a very interesting work wherein I could propose a method by which the integrity of the structure underwater, because 80% of the structure is underwater, visibility is practically nil unless you go and then inspect with the help of a diver. The integrity, or whether the structure is intact, can be found out by instrumenting the structure above water or underwater, and then by measuring the vibration signatures. That was a very interesting topic, and it also resulted in a number of publications, etc. And the topic itself, integrity of structures, it is not only applicable to offshore structures but also for any type of structures. For example, in Madras port, there is a mooring dolphin. A mooring dolphin is a platform which is supported on few legs, piles. To this mooring dolphin only the ships are tied when it is unloaded or other operations are done. It so happened one day we were told that a ship which was moving out of the port went and hit the mooring dolphin, and there are visible damages to the pile cap and also the pile. Now what do we do with it? Whether demolish or assess the residual strength, or let us say in technical terms the stiffness of the structure, and then do some repair work so that the original stiffness can be attained. So this was we went with some instruments to Madras port and then measured the vibration signatures in the X and Y directions, and found that the structure is the damage is mostly superficial, and up to about 80 to 85% the structure is intact. Especially below water, there was not much of damage at all. especially at the pile cap and then where the platform is joining the pile, there some damages were there, and otherwise it was okay. So you found that this, if you believe that this is about 80% stiffness is still remaining, I think minor repair can definitely be done so that a lot of money can be saved, a lot of efforts can be saved, a lot of time can be saved. And this was, everything was done in about 2-3 days. It was so quick. We went there, measured, came back, analyzed, and found that this is the values. And that was, of course, it is not directly related. It was directly related to my PhD topic, but it's a demonstration of the practical application of what we do in for research or for a degree. It can also be used almost without any doubt, or it can be very quickly assessed. So that was probably one, of course, that was also one of my small chapter in my thesis, the assessment of damage in the mooring dolphin. So integrity monitoring of offshore structures, that caught up. Of course, ONGC gave me a project, as I already mentioned, but unfortunately, I could not make any measurements in the field because they were not very.
Access is a problem going there.
Yeah, it is the access to the platform, arranging helicopters and things like that was not that easy at that time. I'm talking about several years back. So therefore, that the project was stopped by this, the conclusions based on this is possible, and that mooring dolphin measurement was a simple example of how damages can be assessed from outside for a structure.
So when you were doing a PhD, the Department of Ocean Engineering already fully into a developed stage, or what was the timeline kind of?
It was not at all, because many equipment were not available. The only saving grace was that we had a spectrum analyzer, which you can do the vibration and then find out the spectral density, so that the natural frequency, etc., can be very easily determined. That was the only instrument that was available, which is very sophisticated. But then if I have to make any underwater measurement on the structure, then we have to have accelerometers which are underwater, which we don't have. So therefore, I designed and made my own accelerometers, and it worked fairly well, and the expenses for that accelerometer was practically nothing. It is just a cantilever and a few strain gauges, and it worked extremely well, and I could plot the mode shapes of different vibration modes with such simple devices.
So once you finished your PhD, how the transformation happened to join as a faculty?
Oh, I think I was already a senior scientific officer, or of that some grade like that.
When was it, by the way? Like year?
I think it must be in the 80s.
80s.
Because I finished my MS in the 80, and then 80 to 85 perhaps my PhD. And because it took fairly time consuming, because I had to design equipment that are required. That was that took some time. Otherwise, the quality of the results that I got was really comparable to any sophisticated devices that were available at that time.
So joining as a faculty directly in ocean engineering or again through civil engineering?
No, it is directly, because I already a senior scientific officer, which is probably the lecturer scale. So therefore, the transition to faculty, because the PhD was already completed, it was quite easy.
So when you joined as a faculty, who was the HOD at the time?
I think Professor V.S. Raj.
Yes, Raj. When you took over as a HOD, what was the challenges that you faced during your tenure?
I think when I took over as HOD, the department was growing. At that time, I think the German aid was also started flowing, especially the instrumentation part. I think we were, building mostly experimental facilities and also instruments for field measurements. The department was, of course, in a very growing stage, but I think the growth was quite fast. Not because I was at the HOD, but because many of our colleagues are already, started doing their own experiments, and then similarly, there is also simultaneous development in theoretical studies, which, of course, mainly headed by Professor Vendan. So therefore, the department was growing pretty fast. And of course, the German aid was one of the major factor which accelerated the growth.
From ocean engineering to administration, first you came as a advisor to dean student office or directly as a dean students first one?
No, my relationship with the students were always one of my top priorities. So right from the beginning, from day one, I was a part of the hostel administration, because I started staying in Kaveri for about first few months as a resident. But later I was made an assistant warden of Mandakini Hostel. That was again a phase wherein I was introduced to administration at the lowest levels, say warden of a hostel. At that time, warden of a hostel had our responsibilities of the mess and then general discipline of the students. I never had much difficulties because, as I said, my relationship with the students were always very good. I never ran away from the responsibilities given by this position, and I had a fairly good time.
So from advisor, hostel warden to dean students, so how was the journey? Almost, I think, more than 6-7 years.
Yeah, I was dean for almost 6 years, and then later I became deputy director. But this was a very, very interesting phase of my life. Though I was doing quite a lot in the student sector, my academic side was never given any low priority. I mean, it is always prioritizing the work was the most important decisions I had to take. As dean students, almost about 2,500 students at that time, 10 hostels, 10 messes, mess employees, and of course the wardens who are really helped me in running the whole show. In fact, many a times I felt that I'm getting probably the lion's share of the credit for most of the things that has happened in the student sector was given to me. I don't know why, but the wardens were equally important component, though at a smaller scale.
At what stage the institute took a decision to change from the old style of hostel with the mess facilities?
Yeah.
When I was a student, we used to have our own small mess in each of the hostel.
Yeah.
So what made the administration to think that centralized mess will be a better idea?
Okay.
And its challenges even today.
I don't know what are the challenges now because I am totally out of it. So therefore, I really don't know how it is working. But at least when it started, it worked very well. Though there were initial hiccups, but definitely things were not bad as we thought. Fortunately, we were able to get some good contractors, mess contractors, who were also not experienced in handling such large numbers also and large facilities. They were all small-time people. But somehow we gave them the support. We gave them whatever we could provide them with, and it worked quite okay. And in fact, there was a time when every month a student can change from one mess to the other, and that also made competition among the mess contractors to make things better in a place. And so therefore, out of the three major contractors, I think one of them came up with where the students liked their way of behavior, way of cooking, the taste of food and things like that. And so naturally, many people try to concentrate on to that mess. So every month changing a contractor was again a challenge, but it could be managed because of
So during your tenure as a dean of students, you might have seen several, the Shastra and Sarang functions conducted by students themselves with the dean students office. Please tell us about the experience.
Now, before
working with
that,
them.
about this centralized mess, I should just mention about one particular aspect of the advantage of centralized messes. One is, of course, the students can choose the mess depending on the menu that is available. The other thing is, every year during summer, there are a lot of incidents of jaundice. in the hostels. So jaundice is a waterborne disease. So therefore, the quality of the water is very important, and the availability of good water from the source itself is not proper. So therefore, how to filter the water or how to make the water bacteria free or at least less bacteria, so that the students' health will not get affected. So one of the wardens, Professor Damodaran, who's in the chemistry department, he came up with the idea of installing reverse osmosis plants, wherein about a few million liters of water can be used to go through this reverse osmosis process, so that the bacteria content will be much less. In fact, the water, the two plants, at that time the money was also not that easily available. Again, the alumni came in with the support, and two plants, one near Alaknanda, the other one I think near Tapi. So these two came up, and we made arrangements by which the hostels can be supplied with RO water every time, for lunch, dinner, and the water is also available in the mess, so that anybody can come and collect the water, so that they will never be exposed to bad quality water from outside. And that worked extremely well. In fact, we found that the next year, after the introduction of the RO water in the messes, next year the incidence of waterborne diseases has come down drastically. Drastically it has come down. And in fact, I have quoted about this incident in many fora wherever I was able to attend or get the attention of officials, and told them, instead of spending money on expensive medicines, concentrate on the quality of water. Even at the school level, if you can get good water facilities for the students, the waterborne diseases will come down much faster. I think, I don't know whether how many people have adopted it, but definitely there are many other people who are watching the IIT system was getting benefited by some of these experiments. So that is one thing about centralized facility. If you have centralized water purification system or reverse osmosis process, by reverse osmosis process, I think the students get the best quality of water, which is probably one of the major reasons of any waterborne diseases. So that is one thing that we found, that by centralizing some of this supply chain, it will have its own beneficial effect down the line. It is not that, it is controlling the diseases at some particular level from the source itself. We have seen that it has got a lot of effect, and it can definitely, even our hospital records shows that waterborne diseases has come down quite drastically. I think even today it continues.
Yeah, this we'll move on to that students self-motivated, the functions that they are conducting every year since early 80s, Shastra and Sarang, which I think you will have much more to tell us.
Okay. Once a set of students came to me I think I should also talk about the student, Dean of Students Office. I think there is one of the questions. Okay. Now this students came to me and told they want to they want to install a radio station within IIT with a short range so that IIT can be catered by whatever programs that we want to show, whether it is music or speeches or even some other programs, even lectures. I thought it was a good idea. But then I think the central government was even supporting such activities in the universities, especially for an IIT with a small campus. I think it was a very ideal solution. But then I thought, what is the point in buying a set of transmitters and then installing it within the campus and then running the software alone comes from the students or whatever is available from us. I said, no, I will not support the idea. I told them, you make a transmitter. It's not that difficult to design and construct a transmitter, for example, to start with an AM transmitter. Not, of course, the shortwave, but even shortwave is also not that difficult because many students do it as a hobby. But then the same group of students never came back. When I told them, you make one and then demonstrate that it can be done, then we will go to the next level. But somehow they were not very, because struggling to make things, etc., was not in the blood of students at that time. Though isolated incidents were there in some hobby, some hostels had hobby room wherein they used to come and then make things, but not to with great success. So this challenge which I put to them, that you make the your own transmitter and then air programs that you want to do it. So it died down.
Mm-hmm.
But then we thought about it, and then what are we doing to encourage the students to come up with some projects like this? We are not doing anything. Though there are competitions in different colleges, different universities where students go and then participate and get prizes, etc. No, it's okay. But not with a lot of success. No, definitely not to talk about. So we were thinking about it and then came up with the idea of create a facility and provide the students what they want, and also whatever budget they would like to and create or develop such small things. I think the idea caught on like fire, and a lot of students came up with simple ideas, but definitely very, very having a lot of scientific content. In fact, I remember one of the project was a self-balancing cycle. The cycle moves, and instead of a person trying to control it with the movement of the handle, it picks up the information and then correct it with some control mechanism.
Hmm.
It's self-balancing, and some students have demonstrated it. A few meters it goes, and then of course falls off. It's okay, but it definitely worked. So like that, there are many ideas. I mean, so all these students, in the hostel or because many of the laboratories were not open to students to do such type of experiments, because this has nothing to do with
Curriculum.
curriculum. So therefore, many people, but at least some faculty members understood that it has got a lot of academic content in it, but definitely not in line with the Senate norms or curriculum framework. So what we thought was, instead of many people trying from different places, why not bring all the students to a common platform wherein they can come, start doing work, then discuss among themselves, probably even stay overnight and then work. So therefore, there must be some kind of a facility wherein the students can come and then design or discuss, design, and then fabricate the things. So that means this facility should have at least some facility for design, some computers with the software that is required, then a small workshop which can, even operating a drilling machine or a lathe, small lathe, etc. The students, of course, they do workshop practice, but that is probably not sufficient for them to design something of their own, which will work. So there must be some kind of a workshop wherein even if it is at a hobby level, that workshop should work. And for testing also you need space. So Professor Anand was very supportive of this idea, and he said, one of the workshops bays, one bay of a workshop, I will give it to you. Do whatever you want. But then the department in charge of the workshop was up in arms, telling that no, it cannot happen. We can't give you, because workshop is, what they have to.
For other academic purposes.
Yeah, that's correct. But somehow director was very firm. And we took charge of it and then made a small student committee to come up with a plan for a workshop. And the entire thing was given to students, and no faculty was ever involved in any of this planning exercise. And they came up with extremely wonderful ideas. I think the document of C5, the original one, must be somewhere available, which has gone into all these aspects, and it's all done by students. Even they have not consulted me except for giving overall guidance. Somehow it caught up with the ideas, and many more students have come and joined it. We came up with a very beautiful plan, lab, how to locate the equipment, which equipment at what place, and what are the equipment that are required. Of course, major equipment which are not always used. You can always borrow it from the workshop that is side by side, and it was going on. And when this idea was discussed, the name came up. So that is why the Center for Innovation, CFI, was mooted again from the students, and nobody ever contributed anything even for this purpose. Then that was the time when the Pan IIT meeting was about to take place somewhere in the 1980s in San Jose. Fortunately, I was asked to accompany the delegation as a representative of the alumni. So we went there. We were all staying in a hotel, and there was a breakup meeting wherein all IIT Madras alumni will meet in some place. One day is set apart for that, and that meeting, I presented the idea of the CFI. And some of the alumni was so enthusiastic about it. In that meeting, we got promise for about 80 lakhs of rupees. 80 lakhs, I mean, it is not a small amount in the 1980s, early 80s. And the support they gave us was also very, very encouraging. So the money is available, place is available, then what is next? Start working on it. And it started. They organized even small competitions, etc. And then came up with, and it was really, so every evening, whoever is, who the students who are interested in doing such projects came together in the evening, and they continue to work even beyond night, go for lunch and then come back. In fact, our idea was even to provide some facilities wherein they can make a cup of coffee and then spend time. But then the canteen was also nearby, so they could get some of these things without much difficulty. So the idea was, I don't know what to say. I mean, it was practically, it caught up like wildfire. A lot of students have come and joined these issues, these projects. They came up with ideas, and that went on. And some of the successful startups that we talk about these days, they all started at that time.
But what about sustainable fund generation for supporting their materials, procurement, and how do we distribute the amount to students? Any kind of guidance?
Anybody who wants to do a project has to give a detailed budget. How much money is required. And of course, this corpus of alumni funding was always there to support these kids. So one thing I can very confidently say is funding has never been a problem. I tell the students, you come up with a good idea, the money will come. There are people, especially the alumni, who are just waiting to help the students what they want to achieve, and that worked very well. So then came the slogan, come up with an idea and go out with a product. So facilities where you can fabricate things are available, and money was not a big issue. And the students who want to work are there always, and that was probably the success of CFI. Then, when I was thinking about these things, I talked to other alumni at different places, and then came the alumni funding was always, I told about 70 or 80 lakhs, which was given by 81 batch of alumni. In fact, they were so much attached to it, they don't want anyone else to contribute to this. If you want to do it separately, but this 81 fund will remain as it is. And that was, I think, Professor Nagarajan, Shankar, Chris Gopalakrishnan. They were all part of it. I mean, the in fact, my trip to USA for that Pan IIT meet was supported by alumni again, mainly by Chris, and then, of course, Common Fund was also used. So that is the beginning of CFI. But then we were looking for, is there something similar elsewhere? Because every college will have some hobby workshop and things like that. But then one of our students came and told, it's in fact Harish, who is our naval architecture student. He later did his PhD in MIT. He was a student at that time in MIT. He told, there is some facility like this in MIT. So he told me to visit that place and then study at least, an overall picture of how such a facility can be created. This is again a very, very interesting. Any student, research scholar, whoever wants to do some instrument fabrication or measurements to be done and things like that, or fabrication itself, can submit his proposal to a board, which will clear it and then give all facilities what is required. And it is his business to complete the project and come up with the final product. I forgot the name of that facilities, but it is attached to mechanical engineering department. And one Professor Vandiver was the head of that section, or head of that facility. I met him, a very nice person. I also told him, about our own idea of creating such a thing. He was again, listened to my, proposal, and he said, yes, I think you should go ahead because you have good students and it must be possible. I think he visited once India, but probably was not able to come to IIT Madras. But he was a strong supporter to the idea of giving all what is required for students to develop their own ideas. And it went on. I mean, I don't know. It's already, I think it was around 2008, the whole thing started, or just before 2008. But now it is already, how many years? 17, 18 years. And within this time, it has grown to such an extent. I think it is one of the biggest showpieces of IIT Madras. One thing I have done is after retirement, I have never visited the place because it's better always to keep a little away so that there are other, young blood who will be able to take it forward. And that is exactly what is happening.
Give us some picture of Golden Jubilee years and your participation there.
2008
2008.
was the golden jubilee of year of IIT Madras. And in the Dean's Committee, it was decided that we will celebrate it to such a massive function, such massive scale, so that it will be remembered forever. So what we did was to create a larger number of subcommittees, which will come up with the idea of how this celebration can take shape. So overall, there is an organizing committee for which, of course, the director is always the chairman, but I was put directly in charge of the whole organizational thing. It was a challenge even for an IIT to organize such massive scale, because it requires not just funding alone, but a lot of work from the people who are involved. So the subcommittees have been made so that, for example, we have some subcommittee for the inaugural function, which is, it should be such a massive scale as that everybody will remember about it. And another subcommittee in the department level, so that, you organize at least one seminar or a conference of international standards, so that it will be a golden jubilee event. So every department came up with proposals for conducting seminars or conferences. So also cultural programs that were organized, which was meant to be and to organize, could not everything put together, but at different times you'll have a major cultural program. And some of the things were very, very, very successful, largely attended, and it went on. On one of the cultural the cultural affairs, we wanted the campus also to participate as much as possible. So we made a committee with Mrs. Anand, director spouse, as the chairman or chairperson. And she has organized quite a lot of, and one of the major thing was a dance drama by Kalakshetra, which was really well attended, and it was one of the best programs organized in IIT. Then we had, of course, seminars. Then we thought of an idea of bringing all the German professors who have helped us in
Earlier days,
and also building the institute. Should never should be always thankful to them for the type of assistance we required, we got. So we thought of a program called Nostalgia, wherein bring as many professors who have served IIT in the formative years, so that, we can have at least a few days of being together, discuss about, how things were happening. And So the idea was to locate all the people who are, and how many of them are alive, how many of them are, still active. But I think we got about 40 people who are still active, were willing to come and then spend some time in IIT Madras.
Even after 50 years.
Yes.
That's
So there are quite a large number of people who are able to come. What IIT did was to give them tickets up and down and then free stay in the campus. They were so happy to stay back in the campus after so many years, and they were, going around like small kids to see what changes that has happened in IIT Madras.
finally, what advice you could give us to the new generation here?
That is something which I never like.
Based on your experience.
See, this institute is a wonderful place. Even by the academic ambience and also the facilities that have been created by the pioneers and the facilities that are being built by the young blood. This we have an ecosystem wherein this any good ideas can be or will be nurtured by the system itself. It is not that somebody has to come and tell us, do this, do that. It just happens. I mean, it should be. That is why I said, the ecosystem is so good, so that ideas bloom, and then it becomes really fruitful in the long run. There are many examples. I think even in the departments, if you see, even though they are not a part of Center for Innovation, but innovation happens in the department in its own way. And many of our consultancy projects or many of the sponsored projects that the department do are all supported by industry because they see some value in it, and the value comes from the faculty and the students, of course. My advice to faculty are involve the students as much as possible, even at a very early stage, so that they form a part of the whole project, and they continue what they learned in whatever places they work, and I think that is the best way to survive.
Okay, thank you.